As early in life as possible, you train yourself to disconnect from the emotions ruling the group. As early in life as possible, you train yourself to disconnect from the emotions. You train yourself to disconnect from the emotions ruling the group. You force yourself to raise your vision. You force yourself to raise your vision. You force yourself to raise your vision, to imagine the larger picture. You train to see events in themselves, uncolored by people's partisan's opinion. Uncolored by people's partisan's opinion. You entertain the perspective of the enemy. You listen to the ideas of outsider. You entertain the perspective of the enemy. You listen to the ideas of outsider. You open your mind to various possibilities. In this way, you gain a feel of in this way you gain a feel for the gestalt. ये क्या है? You gain a feel for the gestalt, or overall safe for the or overall safe of the situation. You came out the possible trends, how things might plan out in the future, and in particular how things could go wrong. Possible trend, how things might play out in the future, and in particular how things could go wrong. You have infinite patience for this exercise. The more deeply you go into, the more you can acquire the power to discern the future in some form. Those who faced Napoleon Bonaparte on the battlefield often had the impression he read their mind and knew of their plan. He read their mind and knew their plans, but he had merely thought forward more thoroughly than the other side. The great German thinker and writer Johann Wolfgang von Goethe seemed to have the uncanny ability to predict future trends, but it came from years of study and global thinking. But it come from years of study and global thinking. So, but it come from years of study and global thinking. Once you have your own vision, you then slowly work backward to the present. Once you have your own vision, you then slowly work backward to the present, creating a reasonable and flexible way to reach your goal. Creating a reasonable and flexible way to reach your goal. The more thinking that goes into this process, the more thinking that goes into this process, the more confident you will feel about your plan, and this confidence will infect and convince other. And this confidence will infect and convince other. If people doubt your vision, you stay inwardly firm. Time will prove you right. If you fall short of your goals, take this as a sign. If you fall short of your goals, take this as a sign you have not gone far enough with your thinking. Take this as a sign you have not gone far enough with your thinking. Lead from the front, the tone. As a leader, you must be seen working as hard or even harder than as hard as or even harder than anyone else. As a leader, you must be seen working as hard or as work as hard as or even harder than everyone else. You set the highest standard for yourself. You set the highest standard for yourself. You are consistent and accountable. If there are sacrifices that need to be made, you are the first to make them for the good of the group. This set the proper tone. The members will feel compelled to raise themselves up to your level. Members will feel compelled to raise themselves up to your level and gain your approval. Much like Elizabeth's minister, they will internalize your values and subtly imitate you. You will not have to yell and lecture them to make them work harder. You will not have to yell and lecture them to make them work harder. You will not have to yell and yes, and lecture them to make them and lecture them to make them work harder. They will want to. It is important that you set the tone from the beginning. First impressions are critical. If you try later on to show you want to lead from the front, it will look forced and lack credibility. Equally important is to show some initial toughness. Equally important is to show some initial toughness. If people get the impression early on that if people get the impression early on that they can maneuver you, they will do so mercilessly. You set limits that are fair. If member don't reach to the high level you uphold, you punish them. Your tone in speaking or writing is uh, perempt- peremptory. Yeah, peremptory क्या होता है? Peremptory and bold ये क्या होता है? Peremptory and bold. People always respect strength in the leader. Strength in the leader as long as it does not stir fears of the abuse of power. If such toughness is not natural to you, develop it, or you will not last very long in the position. You will always have plenty of time to reveal that softer, kinder side that is really you. But if you start soft, you signal that you are a pushover. You signal that you are a pushover. इसका क्या हुआ? Hmm. It does not begin this early on in your career. Begin this early. Begin this early on in your career by developing the highest possible standard for your own work. Begin this early on in your career. Achha. By developing the highest possible standard for your own work. See the next session for more on this. And by training yourself to be constantly aware of how your manner and tone affect people in the subtlest of way. And by training yourself to be constantly aware of. And by training yourself to be constantly aware of. Be constantly aware of how your manner and by training yourself to be constantly aware of how your manner and tone affect people in the subtlest way. Still conflicting of emotion, the aura. Most people are too predictable. Stay conflicting of emotion the aura. Most people are too predictable to mix well in social situation. They assume a persona that is consistent, jovial, pleasing, that is consistent, jovial, pleasing, bold, sensitive. Jovial, pleasing, bold, sensitive. They try to hide other qualities that they are afraid to show. As a leader, you want to be more mysterious, to establish a presence that fascinates people. To establish a presence that fascinates people. By sending mixed signal, by showing qualities that are ever so slightly contrary. By sending mixed signal, by showing qualities that are ever so slightly contrary. You cause people to pause in their instant categorization. You cause people to pause in their instant categorization and to think about who you really are. The more they think about you, the larger and more authoritative your presence. The more they think about you, the larger and more authoritative your presence. So, for instance, you're generally kind and sensitive. So, for instance, you are generally kind and sensitive, but you show an undertone of harshness, of tolerance, of intolerance towards certain types of behavior. This is the pose of parents who demonstrate their love while indicating limits and boundaries. The child is trapped between affection and a touch of fear, and from that tension comes respect. In general, try to keep your burst of anger or recrimination as infrequent as possible because you are mostly quiet and empathetic. When your anger flares, it really stands out and has the power to make people truly intimidated and contrite. You can mix prudence with an undertone of boldness that you occasionally display. You deliberately long on problem, but once a decision is made, you act with a great energy. You deliberate long on problems. You deliberate long on problem, but once a decision is made, you act with great energy and audacity. Such boldness comes out of nowhere and creates a strong impression. Such boldness comes out of nowhere and creates a strong impression. Or you can blend the spiritual with an undertone of earthy pragmatism. Or you can blend the spiritual with an undertone of earthy pragmatism. Those were the paradoxical qualities of Martin Luther King Jr. that fascinated people, or you can be Polsky and regal like Queen Elizabeth I, or you can blend the masculine and the feminine. See chapter 12 for more on this. Related to this, you must learn to balance presence and absence. If you are, if you are too, if you are too present and familiar, if you are too present and familiar, always available and visible. If you are too present and familiar, always available and visible, you seem too banal. You give people no room to idolize you, but if you are too aloof, people cannot identify with you. Aloof. In general, it is best to lean slightly more in the direction of absence. It is best to slightly more in the direction of absence, so that when you do appear from the group, you generate excite so that when you do appear before the group, you generate excitement and drama if done right. In those moments when you are not available, people will be thinking of you. In those moments when you are not available, people will be thinking of you. Today, people have lost this art. They are far too present and familiar. Their every move displayed on social media. That might make you relatable, but it is also makes you seem just like everyone else. And it is impossible to project authority with such an ordinary presence. It is impossible to project authority with such an ordinary presence. Keep in mind that talking too much is a type of overpresence that creates and reveals weakness. Silence is a form of absence and withdrawal that draws attention. It spells self control and power. When you talk, when you do talk, it has a greater effect. In a similar fashion, if you commit a mistake, do not over explain and over apologize. You make it clear you accept responsibilities and re-accountability for any failure. You make it clear you accept responsibility and are accountable for any failures, and then you move on. Your contrition should be relatively quiet. Your subsequent actions will show you have learned the lesson. Avoid appearing defensive and winning if attack. You are above that. Develop this aura early on as a way to enthrall people. Enthrall? Develop this aura early on as a way to enthrall people. Develop this aura early on as a way to enthrall people. Do not make the mix too strong, or develop this aura early on as a way to enthrall people. Enthrall people. Do not make the mix too strong. Don't make the mix too strong. People, do not make the mix too strong, or you will seem insane. It is an undertone that makes people wonder in a good way. It is matter not of faking qualities you do not have, but rather of bringing out more of your natural complexity. Never appear to take, always to give the taboo. Taking something from people they have assumed they possessed, money, rights, or privilege, time that is their own. Money, right, or privilege, time that is their own creates a basic insecurity, and will call into question your authority and all the credit you have amassed, and all authority nahi, will call into question your authority, will call into question your authority and all the credit you have amassed. You make the members of the group feel uncertain. You make the member about your you will make the member of the group feel uncertain about the future in a more visceral manner. Visceral manner. You make the member of the group feel uncertain about the future in a more visceral manner. You stir up doubt about your legitimacy as a leader. What more will you take? Are you abusing the are you abusing the power that you have? Are you abusing the power that you have? Have you been fooling us all along? Even the hint of this will harm your reputation. If sacrifices are necessary, you are the first to make them, and they are not simply symbolic. Try to frame any loss of resources or privileges as temporary. Try to frame any loss of resources or privileges as temporary, and make it clear how quickly you will restore them. And make it clear how quickly you will restore them. Hmm. Follow the path of Queen Elizabeth I and make the husbanding of resources your primary concern, so that you never end up in the poison. Make it so that you can afford to be generous. Make it so that you can afford to be generous. Related to this, you must avoid overpromising to people in the moment. It might feel good. It might feel good to let them hear of the great thing you will do for them, but people generally have an acute memory for promise. And if you fail to deliver, it will stick in their mind, even if you try to blame others on circumstances. If this happens a second time, your authority begins to sharply erode. Not giving what you promised to deliver will feel like something you have taken away. Everyone can talk a good game and promise, and so you seem like just anyone else we encounter, and the disappointment can be profound. Rejuvenate your authority, adaptability. Your authority will grow with each action that inspire trust and respect. It gives you the luxury to remain in power long enough to realize great project. But as you get older, the authority you establish can become rigid and stoggy. But as you get older, the authority you establish can become rigid and stodgy. You become the father figure who starts to seem oppressive by how long he has monopolized power. No matter how deeply people admire him in the past, a new generation inevitably emerges that is immune to your charm, to the aura you have created. They see you as a relic. You also have the tendency as you get older to become ever so silent, ever so no. As you get older to become ever so slightly intolerant and tyrannical, as you cannot help but expect people to follow you, as you cannot help but accept people to follow you without being aware, you start to feel entitled, and people sense this. Besides the public want renews no the public want newness and fresh faces. The first step in avoiding this danger is to maintain the kind of sensitivity that Elizabeth displayed throughout her life. Nothing the moves behind people's word, gauging the effect you have on newcomers and young people. Losing that empathy should be your greatest fear, as you will begin to cocoon yourself in your great reputation. The second step is to look for new markets and audience to appeal to, which will force you to adapt. If possible, expand the reach of your authority without making a fool of yourself by attempting to appeal to a younger crowd that you cannot really understand. Try to alter your style somewhat with the passing year in the art. This has been the secret to success of people like Picasso or Alfred Hitchcock, Hitchcock or Cannell. Cannell. Such flexibility in those who are in their 50s and beyond will give you a touch of the divine and immortal. Your spirit remain alive and open, and your authority is renewed. कितना बाकी है बाबा थोड़ी सी also wonder. Isn't it? Children interesting. Hmm. It's a time. Thinking. The inner authority. We all have a higher and a lower self. Okay. We all have a higher and a lower self. At certain moment in life, we can definitely feel one part or the other as strong. We all have a higher and lower self. ठीक है? We all have a higher and lower self. At a certain moment in life, we can definitely feel one part or the others as the stronger. We definitely feel one part or the other as the stronger. When we accomplish thing, when we finish what we start, when we accomplish thing, when we finish what we start, we can sense the outline of this higher self. When we accomplish things, when we finish what we start, we can sense the outlines of this higher self. When we accomplish things, when we finish what we start, we can sense the outline of this higher self. Um we feel it as well when we feel we feel it as well when we think of others before ourselves. As well think feel it as well. We feel it as well when we think of others before ourselves. When we let go of our when we let go of our ego, when instead of mercilessly reacting of events, we step back and think and strategize the best way forward. But equally, we know all too well the steering string of the lower self when we take everything personally and become pity, or when we want to escape reality through some addictive pleasure, or when we waste time, or when we feel confused and unmotivated. Although we most often float between these two sides, if we look at ourselves closely, we have to admit that the lower half is the stronger one. It is the more primitive and animal part of our nature. If nothing impels us to do otherwise, we naturally become indolent, crave quick pleasure, turn inward and brood over pretty matters. Turn inward and brood over pretty matters. It often takes great effort and awareness to tame this lower half and bring out the higher side. It is not our first impulse. The key to making the struggle between the two sides more even and to perhaps tip the scales toward the higher is to cultivate what we shall call the inner authority. It serves as the voice, the conscience of our higher self. This voice is already there. We hear it at times, but it is a weak. We need to increase the frequency with which we hear it and its volume. Think of this voice as dictating a code of behavior, and every day we must make ourselves listen to it. It tells us the following: you have a responsibility to contribute to the culture and time you live in. Right now, you are living off the fruits of millions of people in the past who have made your life incomparably easier through their struggle and invention. Yeah, right now you're living off the fruits of millions of people in the past who have made your life incomparably easier through their. अच्छी बात बोली. who have made your life incomparably easier through their struggles and invention, who have made your life incomparably easier through their struggle and invention. You have benefited from an education that embodies the wisdom of thousands of years of experience. It is so easy to take this all for granted, to imagine that it all just came about naturally and that you are entitled to have all of these powers. This is the view of spoiled children. Spoiled children. And you must see any sign of such an attitude within you as a sinful. Attitude within you as sinful. This word need constant improvement and renewal. You are here not merely to gratify your impulses and consume what others have made, but to make and contribute as well, to serve a higher purpose. To serve this higher purpose, you must cultivate what is unique about you. To serve this higher purpose, you must cultivate what is unique about you. Stop listening so much to the words and opinions of others, telling you who you are and what you should like and dislike. Just think and people for yourself. Question what you think and why you feel a certain way. Know yourself thoroughly, your innate taste. Your inner taste and inclination, the field that naturally attract you. Work every day on improving those skills that mess with your unique spirit, unique spirit and purpose. Add to the needed diversity of add to the needed diversity of culture. Add to the needed diversity of culture by creating something that reflects your uniqueness. Something that reflects your uniqueness. Add to the needed diversity of culture by creating something that reflects your uniqueness. Embrace what makes you different. Not following this course is a real reason you feel depressed at times. Moment of depression are a call to listen again to your inner authority. In a world In a world full of endless distraction, you must focus and prioritize. In a world full of endless distraction, you must focus and prioritize. Certain activities are a waste of time. Certain people of a low nature will drag you down, and you must avoid them. Keep your eye on your keep your eye on your long and short term goals, and keep your eye on your long and short term goals. Keep your eye on your long and short term goals and remain concentrated and alert. Allow yourself the luxury of exploring and wondering creatively, but always with an underlying purpose. You must adhere to the highest standard in your work. You strive for excellence to make something that will resonate with the public and last. You strive for excellence to make something that will resonate with the public and last. To fall short of this is to disappoint people and to let down your audience, and that makes you feel ashamed. Ashamed. To maintain such standard, you must develop self-discipline and the proper work habit. You must pay great attention to the details in your work and place the premium value and effort. The first thought or idea that comes to you is most often incomplete and inadequate. Think more thoroughly and deeply about your ideas, some of which you must discard. Do not become attached to your initial ideas, but rather treat them thoroughly. Keep in mind that your life is short. Keep in mind that your life is short. That could end and that could end any day. You must have a sense of urgency to make the most of this limited time. You must have a sense of urgency to make the most of this limited time. You don't need deadlines or people telling you what to do and when to finish. Any motivation you need comes from within. You are complete and self-reliant. When it comes to operating with this inner authority, we can consider Leonardo da Vinci our model with this inner authority. His motto in life, his, mo- his motto in life was ostinato rigor, relentless rigor. Whenever Leonardo was given a commission, he went well beyond the task, poring over every detail to make the work more lifelike or effective. No one had to tell him to do this. No one had to tell him to do this. He was ferociously diligent and hard on himself. He was ferociously diligent and hard on himself. Where and although his interests ranged far and wide, when he attacked a particular problem, it was the it was with complete focus. He had a sense of personal mission. It was a complete when he attacked a particular problem. When he attacked a particular problem, it was with complete focus. When he attacked a particular problem, it was with complete focus. He had a sense of personal mission to serve mankind, to contribute toward its progress. Impelled by this inner authority, he pushed beyond all of the limits that he had inherited. Being an illegitimate son with little direction or education early on in his life, such a voice will likewise help us push beyond obstacles that life places in our path. It might seem at first glance that having such a voice from within could lead to a rather harsh and unpleasant life. But in fact, it is the opposite. There is nothing more disorienting and depressing than to see the years pass by without a sense of direction, grasping to reach goals that keep changing and squandering our youthful energy, much as the other authority keep helps keep the group unified, its strategy channeled toward productive and higher ends. The inner authority begins you a sense of cohesion and force. The inner authority brings you a sense of cohesion and force. You're not ignored by the anxiety that comes with living below your potential. You're not ignored by the anxiety that comes with living below your potential. Feeling the higher self in ascendance, you can afford to indulge that lower self. Feeling the higher self in ascendance, you can afford to that lower self, to let it out at moment, to release tension and not become a prisoner of your shadow. To let it out at moment, to release tension and not become a prisoner of your shadow. And most important, you no longer need the comfort and guidance of a parent or leader. You no longer need the comfort and guidance of a parent or leader. You have become your own mother, father, your own leader, truly independent and operating according to your inner authority. Your own leader, truly independent, your own leader, independent and operating according to your own inner authority. The select man. The excellent man is urged by interior necessity to appeal from himself to some standard beyond himself, superior to himself, whose service he freely accepts. Whose service he freely accepts. We distinguish the excellent man from the common man by saying that the former is one who makes great demands on himself, and the latter the one who makes no demand on himself, but content himself with contents himself with what he is and delight with himself. Contrary to what is usually thought, it is a man of excellence who lives in essential servitude. Life has no savor for him unless he makes it consist in service to something trans transcendental. Transcendental ये क्या होता है? तो hence he does not look upon the necessity of serving as an operation. Hence he does not look upon the necessity of serving as an operation. Necessity of serving as an operation. When by chance such necessity is lacking, he grow restless and invent some new standard, more difficult, more exigent, exigent, with which to coerce himself, coerce himself. More difficult. Acha. When by chance such necessity is lacking, he grows restless and invents some new standard, more difficult, more exigent, with which to coerce himself. This life see, this is life lived as a discipline, the noble life. जो और क्या why guest. Come. सुनता ना सीधा नहीं अलग है ये slowly cease meditate